Hey, what's going on? It's Stranger and welcome to another YouTube music production video where my mission is to help you succeed in making music. So the new synth in town is called Vital and everyone's been talking about it, and a lot of you have reached out to me to ask if I can do a video on it. So today I'm going to give you a walkthrough on how you use Vital, building everyone's favorite sound, the Foghorn. Now, one of the main talking points about this synth is that it is entirely free. Now, you can pay for upgraded versions where you have access to more wavetables and presets. However, the free version is fully functional and it has everything you need. So if you want to grab Vital for free, I'm leaving a link down below so you can grab it. And another question about Vital is it the Serum killer? Well, I'll let you guys decide once we get a chance to play with it. I just want to congratulate MK2 who won the first prize in my Future Garage remix contest, which was hosted on my Discord channel. And shouts out to Waypoint, who came in second place, as well as Minim and Enemy, who were the runner-ups. So I'm proud to announce that Plugin Boutique was kind enough to provide some awesome prizes for the winners. So MK2 takes away the chords and expansion pack, as well as Bassmaster, and Waypoint takes away the Bassmaster. All the finalists will also receive a copy of my Serum preset pack when it comes out, and stay tuned, I'll be announcing the release date of my pack soon. Today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, but more on this later. We got a new track on my label Deviant Audio. Tier Cahoots track Avarice is out now on all streaming platforms, and you can also pick it up on Bandcamp. It's an awesome, catchy neural roller. I think you'll like it, so you can check it out at the link below. Also, if you want to get more content like this, then make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. Alright, without further ado, let's check out some Vital. Alright, so here is Vital. And it does have a similar look to Serum, but some of the controls are placed in a different format. So it is a bit tricky when you first play with it, but once you figure out where things are, then it's a no-brainer. So one of the advantages with Vital is that you get 3 separate oscillators. Here's oscillator 1, and here are all the basic controls. So we have the level, and then you can adjust the pitch. They have this section here where you can snap the tuning. I think what this does is that when you play with the tuning, when you automate it, it quantizes it to the closest note. I'm still playing around with this, so that's what I think it does. And this is detune. Of course, there's panning here. And over here is where you can choose the different wavetables. So we're just going to stick with the basic shapes, but as you can see, there are a number of different waveforms that come with it. I've actually imported Serum's wavetables here. So you can go into Serum, export the wavetables, and then import it into Vital here. Now, I'm just going to stick with the basic shapes. And to change the shape, there's this slider here where you can click and drag. And then you can change it to a 3-dimensional view if you like. You can also just click on the graph and drag up and down. If you bring up the wavetable editor, just like Serum, you can edit the waveform, you can add different harmonics, but we won't go into this just yet. Now there's a number of different views here. If you click on the bottom left button here, you also get the spectral view. But let's just stick with 2-dimensional, and let's use a sawtooth. We're going to be building a foghorn, so it's one of the basic waveforms that we use for it. Over here are the unison controls, so you can bring it up to a maximum of 16 voices for that Reese sound. And here's the detuning of the multipliers. And here you can adjust the phase of the waveform. That's just where on the waveform does it start. And these controls allow you to add warp modulation just like in Serum. So if you click on the drop down here, there's sync, format, quantize, bend, squeeze, pulse, As well, you can apply FM modulation and ring modulation. This drop down on the left here has some additional parameters to warp your waveform. Now, I haven't played with this one too much yet, so I still need some time to explore this section. But you can get some pretty interesting results. I'm sure you can use these to build some pretty interesting Reese sounds. We may need to dedicate another video to explore more of these parameters, but we're just sticking to the basics today, so let's just stick with I'm going to use 2 voices. Keep it at 20%. Oh yeah, and on the bottom left of this oscillator, there's the routing. So currently it's being sent to filter 1. Now, another benefit to Vital is it has 2 filters, so you can send it to filter 2 or both, or you can set it directly to the effects or direct out to the master. All right, let's turn on oscillator 2. And then we're going to be pitching this up to 2 octaves and 7 semitones up. Now, they don't have an octave button here, so 2 octaves is 24 plus 7 is 31. Now we're just going to bring the level all the way down. We're just using this for FM modulation. And then back to oscillator 1. On the warp parameters, we're going to choose FM from oscillator 2. So now we're modulating this waveform with oscillator 2. It will just bring the FM amount down a bit. Around there is good. We want that almost nasally kind of sound. Now, I just want to show you could enable oscillator 3, and oscillator 3 perhaps could be our sub oscillator, so you could send this as a direct out as a sub, and then just choose a sine wave as our base. So you got a nice sub there. So today's video is sponsored by Skillshare, and I have 3 levels of classes on Skillshare aimed at beginners who want to learn Ableton. In level 1, you'll learn the basics of drum programming. And then level 2, you'll learn more intermediate drum patterns. And then level 3 explores more advanced patterns such as drum and bass, dubstep, trap, and footwork. And all my classes are 30 minutes or less, so this is great for anyone with a tight schedule but want to learn. And for those unfamiliar, Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes to help you expand your creativity and passions, including classes on graphic design, illustration, video editing, marketing, and of course, music production. The benefit is that there are no ads and it costs less than $10 a month on an annual membership. The first 1,000 people that use my link in the description will receive a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. So check the link below and I'll see you at my class on Skillshare. Now you can add a sample to your sound design by enabling the sampler section here. And there are a number of samples provided, mostly of noise sounds. Now you can always add your own samples when you click on add folder, but we could add some white noise or brown noise on top of our sound for some extra grit. You could also set the noise to key track if you like. Not sure what these buttons do yet. I'm just going to turn off the noise for now so we can focus on the sound design. So now let's enable the first filter. So click on this button here and then we now see that there's a filter. Now using the slider here, morphs the filter from a low pass to a high pass. So that provides some interesting modulation options. And then under this drop down here, we can choose the different filters. Analog I find works quite nice, but there's some additional filters if you'd like to explore. I like analog, and we can use the 24 dB pole for a more rounder sound. And the slider here is the cutoff. Now by default, Vital shows the cutoff as a key as opposed to the frequency number. So if you're seeing a key, you can switch that by going into the advanced panel over here. You see near the bottom left here where it says display and frequency units, you can switch this from hertz to semitones. So now that's set to semitones. Notice when you move the slider, it's showing this in semitones. Now I'm used to seeing it in frequency value. So just go back into display and we're just gonna set that back to hertz. So using the slider allows us to adjust the cutoff. And this allows us to adjust the resonance. And remember, resonance is attenuating that cutoff point, so you get more of that peaky, juicy sound. Now over here, you can apply the filter on the different oscillators. Currently, you can also do it with this drop down here. It just provides you another way to get to filter 1. But you could turn it off for oscillator 1, perhaps. So this button here, it means we're gonna feed the signal from filter 2 into filter 1. If we enable filter 2, then we can say let's feed filter 1 to filter 2. So we have this filter 1 selected. So notice now when we drag this fader, we're applying an additional filter after filter 1. So that's pretty neat, but we'll just turn it off for now. And just like Serum, there's a drive parameter to add some saturation to the filter. So let's move on to the envelopes. So envelope 1 is dedicated to the amplitude. So we can bring the sustain down so you get that trail out kind of sound. So the sound trails out to the sustain. And you get the usual controls in an envelope with the added benefit of a delay knob, so this just moves the attack over. So you get a pause before the sound starts. You can also increase the attack. And hold is just how long it holds at the top. So experiment with those parameters, get comfortable playing with the envelope. So now we're going to use envelope 2 to modulate a bunch of parameters. So enable envelope 2. And I'm first going to adjust the shape of envelope 2. So I'm going to bring the sustain all the way down. We're going to bring the decay up a bit and adjust the shape of it. I'm going to add a short attack here while bringing this point here. So we get a quick slope up. Then I'm going to apply envelope 2 to our filter cutoff. So you see this little crosshair target button here. Just click on it and drag it over to the filter slider. And you'll see this little kind of like clock icon. Just let go and it sets it to the filter cutoff. And by clicking and dragging up or down on this little clock icon, then you can control the modulation amount. I have it about 25. Now we're going to use envelope 2 to also modulate the level of oscillator 2. So I'm going to click and drag over to the level. So now you get oscillator 2 coming back. Now let's move into the LFO section. So here's LFO 1. Now just to demonstrate the LFO, let's assign LFO 1 to the cutoff as well. So bring it down here. Now we can adjust the timing of the LFO with this parameter here. Now it's currently set to envelope mode, so it only cycles once, but if we click here and choose trigger, then you get that LFO. Now this paintbrush icon allows you to paint different shapes onto the grid. You can choose different shapes here. You can also adjust the granularity of the grid here by clicking and dragging up or down. The first number here on the left is the x-axis, and this one is the y. So that's useful when you want to create some really interesting articulations with multiple points on the LFO. If you hold down Shift and drag, it will snap onto different points, and you double click on the line to add additional points. So you can make some interesting sounds by doing this. Now you can also make it into exponential curves. So if you click on this, then you get that rounded shape. Now, if you just want normal shapes, then you can use this drop down, and there are a number of shapes that you can choose here. And I'm just going to stick with a normal triangle. The smooth just smooths out the edges of the LFO. And you could delay the LFO. And this allows the LFO to pan between the left and right. So that's handy. Over here, you can adjust the LFO rate type from seconds to tempo, dotted, triplets, as well as key tracking. So with key tracking, then your LFO changes depending on the key that you're hitting. So the higher the note, the faster the LFO rate. I'm just going to stick to a normal tempo sync to the LFO. Now, actually, I just want it to cycle once. So let's go back into the envelope mode. Now, there are different LFO modes here. You can loop certain sections of the LFO. However, I'm just going to use the envelope mode here to cycle only once. And actually, I'm going to set it to 2 bars. And just turn off this paintbrush icon. Otherwise, it's going to draw shapes onto your grid. So turn that off. And then we can move this point here. And actually, I got to remove the LFO to cut off. So just right click, remove it. Now, actually, I just want to apply LFO 1 to the pitch. So let's go into the matrix section on the top left here. And I'm going to click here as the source. And I'm going to say LFO 1 is going to be set to the global voice tune. So that's like global master tune in Serum. And I'm just going to set it to 1 note. Now, if you right click, you can enter the value and choose 1. So you get that pitch bend. Now, there's just one more setting I forgot to set, which is to modulate the FM amount. So let's go back into the main panel, and we're going to set envelope 2 to the modulation amount here of FM. Now, we don't want it all the way up. We just want it a bit. So adjust it till we find a sweet spot. That sounds nice to me. Just want that rumbly kind of sound. All right, so we have the basic sound design now. So we can go into the effects section to pump it up. So click on the effects on the top menu. And as you can see, there are a number of effects here, and pretty standard effects, a lot like what you have in Serum, except they don't have the multi-dimension effect, unfortunately. However, we're just going to use the distortion. So turn on the distortion, and you can choose the different distortion curves here. I'm just going to stick with soft clip. And then we're going to increase the drive. Now, if you like, you can apply a filter, and you can set it pre or post, just like in Serum. You can blend between a high pass, low pass. If you don't want it, then you can turn off the effect. You can also use the post mode. Now I'm just going to turn off the sub oscillator. It is kind of getting in the way of the design. I'm just going to turn off oscillator 3. So having that filter actually is kind of nice. It carves out some of those harsh frequencies. That's totally up to you. You don't have to use the filter if you don't want. But let's enable the reverb. Again, pretty standard settings for the reverb. You can remove the low so we don't get a muddy sound. So that's the cutoff here. You can adjust the amount that you're removing. There's also a pre, low, and high cut, so that's the signal going in before the reverb. And then you can adjust the mix of the reverb, as well as the reverb tail time and the size. All pretty standard settings. You can just explore and find out what they do. If you really want to crush the Foghorn sound, then you could turn on the compressor and then just make sure it's in multi-band mode. I'm just going to leave it off for now. I'm just going to adjust the shape of LFO1, and I'm just going to move it to 1 bar length here. Again, if you want that sub oscillator back, we can bring back oscillator 3. Just make sure it's sent to direct out. And we have the basic sound. Now you could just tweak it a bit, find sweet spots. And that's usually how I design my sounds. Once you have the basic parameters set, that you can tweak the settings to find the sweet spots for each parameter. You can play with the FM setting. You can play with the modulation amounts. Maybe play with the filter setting. Maybe add some drive. Maybe play with the drive. Maybe instead of using the filter and the distortion, we can enable the EQ and shave off some of those frequencies. But actually, I am liking that pre-filter on the distortion. And then applying some EQ to boost some of those high mids again. Thinking that sounds pretty fat, so why don't we put this over a beat and see how it works out. Now, when I was initially playing with Vital and learning the platform, I designed this Foghorn sound. It pretty much has the exact same settings that we went through. However, there are some minute differences, and for the life of me, I just can't figure out what they are right now. It's just very subtle, but for some reason, this one just sounds fatter. Here's the one we made. But I'll leave a link to the presets down below if you want to play with them. But yeah, I'm loving this initial one that I designed. Alright, so let's hear some Foghorns over some beats. Alright, so I think we have a start to a pretty nice roller here. Alright, so that was my walkthrough on Vital. And let me know down in the comments what you think of the synth and what do you think of the results. Overall, I think that Vital is a pretty versatile synth. What I like about it is the multiple oscillators, the wave shaping parameters, as well as the dual filters. Now, is it the Serum killer? Well, I just can't say yet. I do need more time with it. I will say that when I was first playing with this synth, I wasn't convinced. I just found that the waveforms didn't respond and give me the same rich result that Serum did. However, after recording this video and having more time with the synth, I was actually pretty impressed with the results. For example, when we were tweaking the parameters for the FM amount as well as the filter and pre-filter on the distortion, we then started to get some pretty fat results. Also, the wave shaping options seem to be pretty interesting, but I'm going to need some time to explore it. So while I can't just say it's a Serum killer yet, I will say it is a nice replacement if you can't afford to pay for a full synth like Serum. There's definitely certain things about Serum that I like better, especially how the waveforms respond to each other. As well, I think Serum's distortion curve sounds a bit better. But as you can see, if you play with the parameters a bit in Vital and find the sweet spots of all those settings, you can actually get some pretty nitty-gritty results. So I would definitely recommend you guys to grab Vital and play with it. After all, it is free, so it can't hurt. And hopefully in future videos, we'll get more opportunities to play with some more sounds in Vital. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. But that's pretty much it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep practicing. I'll see you at the next video.